Hi there folks, welcome to the channel, welcome back. And a couple of weeks ago I unboxed this, which is the Orient Kano, and yeah, it's kind of taken me a little bit by surprise. Now, I've not had an Orient of my own before. I have reviewed an Orient Star, which is a completely different kettle of fish, and obviously a higher quality. So, you know, an Orient is something I've had on my radar for some time, and if finally I've got one in. And yeah, I had no kind of preconceived ideas about what it was going to be like, but I have to say I have not taken this off for about 2 weeks. Yeah, the review could be more of a show and tell because I've really been enjoying wearing this watch. Yeah, it's definitely taken me by surprise, and you know, just keeps getting wrist time. So what we will do is we will take a look at it, we will do some measurements and all the rest of it, and we will go through all the usual specs and features and give you my thoughts, because I said in my unboxing that I preferred it to the Kamasu. So I guess I'd better really qualify that as to why, but it's a personal thing, an aesthetic thing, I think. But yeah, we're going to run some footage. You're going to have a look at kind of close-ups and all the rest of it, and then we'll get into the review. Thanks for tuning back in, really appreciate it. I'll see you the other side of the camera. Okay, so here we are, the other side of the camera, and why do I prefer this Kano to the Kamasu? Now, obviously the Kamasu is, I would say, probably the more popular of the two, and I think this one is very underrated. Now, for me personally, it's probably more of an aesthetic thing, so it is subjective. I kind of prefer the overall kind of vintage aesthetic. I prefer the bezel. The bezel, I think, on this, I mean, I have held and seen a Kamasu, and I think the bezel on this is easier to get to. The Kamasu is a little more slippy, doesn't appear to have as much grip as this one does. For me, as kind of somebody with larger wrists, I prefer the size of this one, although the size of the Kamasu is absolutely fine. And would I wear one? Absolutely. I think the Kamasu is a great watch. But let's talk about the Kano for a minute, and let's try and find out why it's possibly not as popular. There is a huge range of colour choices. I mean, it's available with bracelets and with rubber straps and various colour combinations, and this I'll put a picture up of the various colours that you can get. But I've actually, like I said, I've had this for a couple of weeks, and it's basically never come off my wrist. It's yeah, it really has got a lot of wrist time. I've really kind of fallen in love with this one. So forgive me if I wax lyrical a little bit about it. Not very often I do that. But anyway, let's get into some dimensions. Having said that, there are some things I'm not too keen on, but we'll come to that. We have a case size between the 8 and the 2 of 43.4 millimeters, including the crown. It is 47.2. We have a lug to lug of 49.9. We've got a thickness of 12.8 millimeters. We've got a lug width of 22 millimeters and an overall weight on the supplied silicone strap of 110 grams. So it's yeah, for being on a silicone strap, it has got some weight to it, but it doesn't bobble about on your wrist, which is quite often one of the gripes that you have, or I can have, I should say, when you put a dive watch on something that's not a bracelet. But anyway, construction of the watch is all 316L stainless steel. We have a screw down case back, we have a screw down crown. We have an aluminium bezel insert. And a mineral crystal. Now, that's possibly one of the things that people would maybe shy away from this one for, because of the mineral crystal, whereas the Kamasu has a sapphire. But for me personally, I don't actually get hung up on that, on the sapphire thing. I mean, sapphire is great, don't get me wrong. But you know, I mean, I've got a lot of dive watches which have got mineral crystal, and they've all been absolutely fine. I mean, if you're going to go walking into door frames and stuff like that, then you know, maybe you just need to be a bit more careful. But yeah, the mineral crystal, I do not have a problem with it. Okay, so let's have a look at the dial. We'll just kind of zoom in a little bit on that, see if we can get a bit closer. There we go. So we've got a really nice sunburst dial on this one. We've got applied indices which are lume filled, minute track running around the outside. All the indices are battens. You've got the Orient logo just below the 12 o'clock, and then Orient, and then automatic. Now, I know that the logo can be a little bit of a polarizer for some people. Some people love it, some people hate it. Me, I'm fine with it. I really don't mind it. I guess it can look a little cluttered at the top there. Maybe I would lose the automatic. But anyway, down at the 6 o'clock position, we have water resist to 20 bar, which is 200 meters. So, you know, full 200 meters of water resistance on this, although it is not ISO certified. Neither is the Kamasu. We have a 120 click unidirectional dive time bezel. I will be quiet so you can hear that. Fairly positive clicks. It's got a slightly spongy feel to it, similar to a Seiko, but not as spongy. I would say that the bezel actually feels nicer on this than it does on a lot of the Seikos that I've had. And does it line up? Yes, it does. Minimal backplay. The hands on this, I mean, it's got its own particular handset on this, as has the Kamasu. They are slightly different to each other, and you've got that orange tip on the seconds hand to match the first 15-minute section of the orange on the bezel. The finishing on the case, you've got a brushed top surface and high polished sides, high polished crown, which is signed. Now the polishing is done very well. I've got no problem with it at all. Now, I will actually say that I did not pick this one up new. I managed to pick this one up on eBay, so it is not new, and it has got one or two love marks on it. So I mean, I'm not a massive fan of high polished surfaces on dive watches, but I think because of the shape of the case on this, the downturn and that lugs is really actually pretty cool. It does hug the wrist really quite well. Then you know, it's not as kind of smudge attracting as some of these more slab sided divers that you get with a polished case side. You know, that's one of the things that kind of puts me off polishing on a dive watch, but this one I haven't found to be too bad at all. The movement inside this is the in-house Orient F6922 automatic movement, which is a 22 dual movement, 21,600 vibrations per hour with approximately 40-hour power reserve, and timekeeping is rated at plus or minus 20 seconds per day. And I will put a picture up of where this one is running, and it's slightly slow. It's running around about minus 7 seconds per day, but not a bad set of numbers. It's certainly within acceptable limits. Now then, the strap. Quite often when you get one of these straps, you think, oh, we got one of those. I've got to say, this one is really very good. It will fit easily up to probably a 9-inch wrist. It is very soft, very supple, comparable, I would say, with a yeah, the Seiko Prospex ones. As you can see, we have the Orient logo on there. We've got the Orient logo on the end there, and you've got this this ridge here, and that actually, when you put that through your tang buckle, which is a nice brushed, yeah, solid stainless steel, feels nice. But when you pop that through there, we'll just do that up, and you put that in there. And once you've slid that back, that then sits into that groove so that it won't slide about. And yeah, kind of quite often with these, they do move and you end up with that flappy bit. Well, you don't get that with this, so that's pretty cool. The case back, as I said, is screwed down. You've got your usual stuff on there: stainless steel, Movement Japan. You got your model number up there, Epson, which is obviously the Seiko family group, if you like, and the dolphins etched on the back there in the centre. That's quite nicely done. Got no problems with that whatsoever. High polished case back, generally high polished except the centre. So yeah, I think it's actually, I think, a really underrated. I mean, it's not a proper diver because it's not ISO rated, but you know, is that really massively important? Are you really going to go diving with one of these on? I know I'm not, but yeah, we do like our dive watches. Now then, the loom. There is some loom on here, and it is very good. And the issue, I guess, if you want to call it an issue, is that there is no loom pip at the top of the bezel. But you know, is that an absolute necessity? I know the Kamasu does have one, but it's still not ISO rated. You know, is it really going to make that much of a difference? Because let's face it, to be honest with you, you know, particularly for myself, you know, the only time this is going to go anywhere near water is if I jump in a pool on a hot sunny day, or maybe down at the beach on a hot sunny day. So a loom pip is not really absolutely necessary. So yes, there we have it. I think a really underrated Orient diver. You don't seem to hear so much about these. I do know one or two people that have got them, and you know, a couple of them have even messaged me on Instagram, and I put pictures up saying, yeah, these are great watches, and they absolutely are. And I think that you know, a lot of people will steer clear of it because of the mineral crystal, but to be honest with you, does it really make that much difference? I don't think so. Not for kind of general use. I mean, it's obviously, we know that sapphire can shatter, whereas mineral is more likely to scratch. So yeah, there we have it, the Orient Kamasu. Now then, the serial number for this, it's a long one. It is the RA-AA0916L19B. Price wise, these tend to be, and I'm going to go retail prices. Like I said, I picked this one up on eBay, but retail prices for this one on the rubber strap is around between 140 and 180, and up to probably 200 if you get one on a bracelet. And the Kamasu is kind of a little bit more, from kind of 160 to 190, up to about 220, 230 on a bracelet. But obviously depends on what version you get. Now then, this, I mean, you can obviously go for aftermarket bracelets and different straps and stuff like this, and I think this is a proper strap monster. So and you'll be seeing some footage around about now of this on various straps, and I think it looks great on all of them. And you know, I'm really enjoying having this one in the collection. So yeah, I mean, I may add another colorway, but I think before I get another colorway in this, I will probably pick up a Kamasu, and we will have a look at them side by side. Before we do that though, I am going to, there's a reason that this is here. I will be putting it head to head with a Seiko Samurai. So we will compare them directly, and there is quite a price difference between the two, but do you get twice as much value with the Seiko as you do with the Orient. So keep your eyes open for that video. It may even be the next video, I haven't decided yet. But yes, there we go, my final thoughts. I absolutely love this thing, and it's not very often you hear me say that about a watch, but there we go. That's just my own personal thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. You know, it's would you have a the Kano as opposed to the Kamasu? Is it too big for you? Is that the reason you haven't got it? Are you kind of do you really need to have sapphire crystal? Is that the reason that you wouldn't buy one? But let me know. Oh, by the way, those two, the Kamasu and the Kano, have the same movement, so there's not a lot in them. But yes, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, hit the notification bell and all that other good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers for now.